Good evening. Laura Donnelly here with Strange and Interesting Times and my cat uh, with day 223. And today I was going to come back and share some quotes with you. I worked on these quotes earlier, and today a friend of mine was asking a question about fear in her group. And um, and this made me think about this and the idea of, well, first these quotes, and I've mentioned before that I have a lot of quotes that I like, and I find a solace in reading them. They remind me of things that I knew. They remind me of things that I sometimes wish I could do better, and sometimes they're just inspiring. And the thing about the thing I was thinking about with my cat here is that sometimes she comes dashing to the porch, and we let her in, and her tail is huge. It's all the hair on her tail is standing out on end, and her tail is about 2.5 inches in diameter. Something scared her, and she ran home, which is what she's supposed to do, or she runs up in a tree. Sometimes it was the wind, and something blowing in the wind startled her, and she runs. But the thing about my cat is she doesn't hang on to the fear. The fear is a really immediate thing for her, which requires fighting or fleeing, and she's good at both. And then, then the next time she wants to go out, she might, look. She might stand in the door and look to see if whatever that thing was that scared her is there, but it doesn't stop her from going out. She might go out a little bit more cautiously, prepared to dash back in the house or to dash around the corner. But she doesn't hold on to the fear of whatever it was that happened in such a way that like when she's in when she's in the house, she's not remembering that. She's not worried about it. She might remember it tomorrow morning when I open the door, or she might not, depending on how the day is, how the day smells, the whole thing. So one of the things that I went back to was these quotes I had from Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And I think this is really important in how things are going with the shutdowns, with the news reporting on the virus. The news, it's like since the virus started, that the news media thinks its whole purpose is to stir up fear in people. And maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it has to do that so we can see whether it's valuable or useful or reliable as a source of information. And if not, then we got to find news somewhere else. The other one I have is Winston Churchill. Fear is a reaction. That's that fight or flight or freeze. And courage is a decision. And I think that the decision is to take action in the face of the fear. Not to deny fear, to have compassion for ourselves. Things are frightening. The world is a strange place right now. And I reframed it to strange and interesting instead of weird and bad or frightening and bad. For me, interesting includes learning still, something to learn, to figure out, to understand. And so interesting is a word that I can engage with, whereas bad or difficult or wrong, these are kind of words that have an end. And now you'll see that I belong to the cat, and according to the cat, I am simply a pillow. And the thing about this is sometimes I say to people, and I gotta find this. I'm going to find this. Once I watched a short film that was about cars, but it was about cars viewed from an alien being observing the Earth. And what that they determined was that cars were the um, primary sentient being on the Earth. And it went here and it went there and it went to this place and it went that place and it went all over. And it went for food and at the gas station and it lived in houses, the garage and everything. And the point of view of this film was that the humans that went around in the cars were simply some kind of service entity whose sole job was to wash the car, take care of the car, put gas in the car, change the tires. And so from that point of view, which I thought was really funny. So I said, we like to think that humans are the pinnacle of life on Earth, the most evolved, we just got to look at that. We make things, we make central air, we make contact lenses, we make spaceships that go to the moon or Mars. And we can make things. We are good at that. But we are still the same beings that we started as, with the same flaws, envy and jealousy and fear and greed. The 10 Commandments that are in Christianity are still relevant as a guideline for things to do and not do. If humans were evolving, we wouldn't still have adultery. We wouldn't still have fratricide. We would just know to honor our mother and our father. We would take care of each other. We would have compassion for each other. We wouldn't do all the mean and nasty things that humans do to each other, which is, now, should I just say that that's part of being human? Do I just accept that? I don't know. But I do know that evolution is an idea, and emotional evolution, emotional growth takes real persistence and compassion for yourself. But you've got to do it all the time. So, like courage is a decision. It's a decision to continue to act in the face of fear. And I think it is a decision to act from a place of hope that your action will create something that is better in the future, even if the cost of your action is your own life. I'm thinking more about war, or somebody, when there's a terrible accident, like when 9/11 happened, and all of the people who worked really hard to rescue people from the World Trade Center towers. Those people, they were afraid. They were just as afraid as everybody else. But somehow they made a choice to make an action in the face of the fear. So then my friends ask, can you teach this? Well, I think by reflecting on things that have happened in the past and reading about people who have confronted challenging and amazing things. Well, not amazing things, but challenging and difficult and frightening things, and things that you wouldn't wish on anybody. And looking at their stories, their biographies, their autobiographies, how did they withstand this thing that was so scary? And can we learn from them? So both FDR and Churchill were leading their countries through, at that point, the largest war that had happened in anyone's memory. or written history, or except I think if you're in the war, any war is the biggest war that has ever happened. And so another thing that Churchill said is that your greatest fears are created in your imagination. Don't give in to them. This is where the persistence comes in. This is where the choice to recognize. Now, if you're confronted by, once I was confronted by a guy with a sawed-off shotgun in an elevator. Okay, that's a time to be afraid. I can't run. I can't get away. He's in the elevator with me. Big time trouble. So what did I do? I lied and lied and lied. I didn't intend to lie. But he kept asking me questions. And based on the question, I could figure out what he was trying to do. So where was I going? Well, I said I was going to an office. It was a residential building, but I was going to an office in the residential building. He said, how many are people there? I knew there was 3 people there. I lied. I said 12. Then this completely discombobulated him. Okay, well, I'm lying. But I also had my eyes shut because I had read a Ken Follett novel in which the spy was killing everybody who could recognize him. So I shut my eyes so I couldn't recognize this guy later. See, in fear, you don't do logical things when you're frightened. You don't. You just do something. I do something. That's my action. Then the elevator stopped, not on my floor where I was going, but it stopped and the doors opened, but nobody was there, which is probably a good thing because this guy had a gun. So then he says to me, give me your money. So I took $20 out of my bag and I handed him the $20. Later, the police said to me, why didn't you give him your wallet? I said, he didn't ask for my wallet. He asked for my money. He didn't ask for all my money. So I just gave him some money. And the police were going, that was crazy. I said, well, it seemed like the right thing to do. At the time, he put $20 in his pocket and he was satisfied. He said, give me your gold. And I had family pieces in my bag, the bottom of my dance bag, because I was going to go actually to a wedding. So I was kind of dressed up. I looked like nicer rather than looking like a street urchin that I normally looked like when I was running from one class to rehearsal and to another class. I was dressed up. But I looked and I had 2 rings on. And so one ring I knew was 18 karat gold and one ring I knew was 14 karat gold. And so I deduced in my brain that the 18 karat gold ring was worth more money than the other one. And so I gave him the other one. He didn't say, give me all your rings. He just said, give me your gold. He was not a skilled burglar. Probably fortunate for me. Then the doors open and he says, get off the elevator. And right next to the elevator is the stairwell. And I'm thinking to myself, I am not getting in the stairwell with this guy. And so I was like, I start going, oh, I'm going to faint. I'm going to faint. And I fell down and I fell down on my bag, my purse and my bag, my stuff with my jewelry in it. There it is, a full-grown human lying on the floor in the middle of the hall. And he freaked out and ran down the stairs and left. And so then I got up and then I realized I saw what floor I was on. I got on the elevator. I went up to where the people were in the office. I pounding on the door. And my natural reaction is to get angry. So I was really angry. And we had called the cops, the whole thing. But what I'm saying is you don't know what you're going to do when you are confronted with fear. You don't know. And you might do the right thing and you might do the wrong thing. The police are going, that was absolutely the wrong thing. You should have done everything he said. I said, I did do everything he said. I just interpreted what he said. And probably if he'd said, give me all your money, I might have. But I'm chintzy, But anyway, it was a challenge. It was frightening. trust me, I probably didn't get in that elevator for a few weeks again. And I might have called up the stairs to the office and said, I'm here at the door. I'm coming in. I should be upstairs in 2 minutes. I might have taken the stairs for a while. You do whatever you have to do. But I could have terrified myself. I could have become afraid of elevators, which is really hard in New York City because you've got to ride a lot of elevators in New York City. But I could have been afraid to get on an elevator ever again. If I had played the incident over and over, what I play over and over in my head is what a smart aleck I was, because I outsmarted this guy some. He got some stuff off of me, but he didn't get everything. And I didn't take him to the office where my people were. Because if he had gone in there with the gun, he could have stolen the office equipment. He could have hurt somebody in the office. Turns out there was a rash of robberies like this where the guys would get somebody coming home for lunch, ask them what their apartment was. He might ask me if I lived here, and I said, no, I don't live here. I'm meeting somebody or something. And if it was the person coming home for lunch and they lived in the building, then the robber would have them take them to their apartment. He would tie up the person, then steal all the electronics. This was in the, get it, olden days when you could actually get money from fencing electronics, which you can't really do anymore. But anyway, so persistence. What is my brain feeding me? What is my brain feeding me? What ideas is my brain feeding me? Where do they come from? Are they grounded in reality, or are they ideas that I can shift? Ideas that I can convince myself that was a one-time thing. That odds of that ever happening again are over the top. And then can I believe that when I tell myself that? So to develop the skill to not give in to your fears, whatever they are, again, that takes persistence and compassion. You can't force yourself to do this. I mean, like in the Second World War, the Russians, they told their soldiers that if their soldiers turned around, wanted to retreat, they would be killed from behind. So they kept going forward. Okay, that's competing fears. If they kept going forward, they might be killed. If they turned around, they would for sure be killed. So this fear or that fear, this activity or that activity, this thought or that thought, and this is where I work, is this thought or that thought. Does this thought help me, this thought I have right now, or does this thought hurt me? If the thoughts I have are hurting me, I try to remove them from my library of thoughts, replace them with something else. And the first way I do that is by scanning for ease in my system. When I got robbed in the elevator, I didn't know about ease yet. I might have done things differently. I don't know. I don't know. But it worked out okay for me. And I think the guy was a copycat robber. I think his friends had told him they were doing this and he was going to try and do it. And he got me, and I didn't live in the building. And I was going to an office that had a lot of people in it. And I wasn't an empty apartment. Everything was wrong. So my other idea is maybe he realized he wasn't cut out to be a robber and quit that. So I have one more thought here from Timber Hawkeye, which I thought was nice. You can't calm the storm. So like the storm of what's happening coming at us. You can't do anything about that. So there's no point in trying. So he says, so stop trying. That's a little hard sometimes, especially in a family where you have been able to calm things down by taking on extra responsibility, doing extra work, all that kind of stuff. You can get the idea that you can calm down the storm. And so you get hooked into a routine and a habit of trying to do that. And that usually leads to excess stress and sometimes illness and a point of coming to a crossroads where you have to change your behavior. You get to change your behavior, you get to change your thoughts. So this one is to recognize that you can't change the storm. What you can do is calm yourself. And then know that the storm will pass, because it does pass. So within this COVID thing, the strange and interesting times have been ideas for you to use to help you find a little bit of calm in the midst of the storm, while we keep trying to live, as we keep hoping that the storm moves on, away, and out. Disappointment is the next thing, which I'll talk about another day, because every time I think that it's moving away, the media stirs up the whole fear thing again, and then everything starts over. So it's strange and interesting. But find some things that support you. Find some quotes that help you. And if you have any ideas about how to activate your courage, your own personal courage in the face of fear, please share them. I would love to hear them, and I'd love to be able to quote you. That would be great. So take good care. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you